There they are. We're going to let them duke it out on this episode of Man Cave Technology. We have the Microsoft Surface Pro 4 and the iPad Pro. They're going to go head to head and we're going to see who comes out the wiener. Okay, so let me get a couple of things straight before I start this video, especially if you're new to the channel. I have been accused by my wife of being an Apple fanboy, mostly because I buy pretty much everything that Apple makes. But I actually also love Microsoft. Well, I used to really love Microsoft, and I still do. I tell people that I'm not a fan of really any particular company. I'm a fan of whoever has the best technology at the moment, which is why I was super excited about the Surface Pro 4 and went out and got one of those as well. Now, I used to program websites and do things all Windows based. This was back when I graduated high school in 1999 and got an internship at a software company, and everything was in Windows. And then I resisted Mac until about 2007 when I started using the Intel chips and I got a MacBook Pro. And so my ecosystem is really a little of both. As you can tell here around the man cave, we do have both Windows-based computers and Mac-based computers and a little of everything else. And so I'm not in one camp or the other, although my particular ecosystem is fairly committed to Mac. However, I help people and I work with stuff on both sides of the fence. Today is not going to be like a scientific teardown of these computers. You can go and find lots of people who are going to do all the really, nitpicking stuff, and they're going to do this. This is man cave technology style. So I have kind of made a scorecard here. Of just things like, does this thing power on and how does it do it? How's its aerobics? How's its battery life? This is real world tests. This isn't like I unboxed these and opened them up and kind of said, well, this one can do this and this one can't do that. This is like I used only one for a couple of days and then I used only the other for a couple of days. So I'm going to give you the best bit that I can from my perspective, and then you have to make the decision. This really isn't a whole thing about which one's better and which one's worse and that's so dumb. And this, just get over it, okay? We're going to look at these, and some things are going to be great for you, some aren't, and you decide. No one's making you buy this. I read a lot of people who throw out so much hate to the iPad Pro. No one's making you buy it. You don't see people complaining about this, about, just some random Dell laptop, because who cares? If you want it, get it. If you don't. People think that every Apple product has to be something you want to buy, and maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but here we go. Let's hit it. So the first thing I want to talk about is simply powering the device on. So I'm going to power on the Surface. I hit the power button and the camera's going to come up, and I don't know what all just happened there, but now it's looking for me, making sure it's me. Now it's identified me, and there it comes on. In my personal opinion, for a laptop, that's not too bad, although my MacBook and MacBook Pro and other variants just kind of seem to open and work. A little convoluted, all that stuff that happened, but it did log me in. Over here, it's a little more, I got to touch it, but I touched it, Touch ID picked up, and boom, we're in. So from a standpoint of powering the device on, which you think, come on, man, powering the, you know what, you're going to turn this thing on and off a bunch. So once again, no matter how you use it, the iPad Pro probably did a pretty good job there. Now, let's move on to the power supply, because that may seem kind of like a silly thing, but it's important. This is the Microsoft Surface power supply. They give you like the world's shortest cable. And then it connects with, those of you familiar with the Surface, it connects with this guy, which is better, in my opinion, than the port sticking out of the iPad Pro. There's no way to hold it with the cable, but I don't think they intend for you to have the iPad Pro plugged in a lot while you're holding it. You can make this go either way. It's magnetic, pretty decent, and it actually sometimes can snap in decently over there without much effort. Okay, so over here on the iPad, we have your standard Lightning port connector that you basically stick in here, And then we have just the standard Apple connector. It actually will work with an iPhone or really any USB that you can find. Those of you who know a little bit about USB will understand that if it's plugged into something like an iPhone charger, it's going to charge slower because it doesn't have the amount of wattage that it needs. But if you plug it into something like the one that came with it, or into a desktop charger, which I have a lot of these 5-port Anchor USB chargers that I love, and something that can supply it with the proper power, then it's going to actually do pretty good. Now, here's an advantage of this over this, and it is called this. I have a lot of these. I keep these in my bag, and with this, I can basically power this iPad Pro and charge it a couple of times and have no issue moving forward. As a matter of fact, in my ecosystem, I can also plug this into my MacBook and basically power and recharge both of these devices off of this Anchor portable battery. Over here, it's a little more convoluted because you've got this connection, which is, you know, it's the Microsoft Surface connection, which granted, this is the Apple connection, but it's on a million devices in a million places. This, less so much, but the problem is they don't make, as far as I know, an actual car adapter. They don't make portable power bricks. So I've seen some people who have basically hacked that connector and put it in particular power bricks, and there's some different stuff on there on Amazon. But unless you want to go hacking and cutting things and doing all of that, just the fact that the iPad supports USB seems like a good deal. Let's talk about aerobics. Now, this is a place where, in my opinion, the Surface really wins, and I wish that Apple would just, I don't know, copy them or something. This Surface can be in a million positions. You can basically take the keyboard off, and it's got a super strong magnet, as you can tell, that I am almost unable to physically remove it, but there we go. And you can put this in a lot of positions. What's great about this is if you are going to sit right here and do stuff or use the pen, you can easily do that. If you need to move it back, you can do that. And then this is about as low down as it goes, but I don't know that you would really need it much lower than that. Now, this does have one weird disadvantage, and that's when you're using it kind of as a laptop, you can't actually lean it forward or even lean it straight. So I like to lay on the couch with a laptop, and this doesn't really do that trick. And most of you probably aren't as weird as me, but I like to lay on a couch, tilted about that much, and kind of enjoy that kind of life. The other thing that is a little different is when you use it as a laptop, even though it snaps in, you got that, you actually have to have some space back here. And sometimes I found that annoying when I want more room, and like here, you know, I'm now pushing it up against stuff, and I'm not getting what I could get with a real laptop that just lets me go all the way back in like that. Now, the iPad. So, the keyboard is not available yet, which is kind of silly. So this is their other, the silicone case, and it has your traditional kind of one angle, and that's how the keyboard is going to work as well, which doesn't give you as much as you would want. And then other than that, you're relegated to kind of propping it up different places. But I'll kind of show you what I've been doing. Now I'm taking you to my bathroom, which you might think is a little weird. Outside of my bathroom, I actually have a poster that I want to put above the pot that says go, go, go. But here's something. I like to watch TV. I really love watching the news. And something that I've never done with a laptop is I haven't really taken it and set it on the bathroom counter in order to listen to something or keep watching. However, I've been doing that with the iPad Pro. What's cool is it has epic volume, and I just lean it up. And then I am able to hear and then just take that with me. So once I'm done in here, if I want to come back out into the man cave, I simply bring it along, and then before you know it, we are back in the man cave, and I'm here and continue listening to this and can prop it up or do whatever I want to with it. Now, the Microsoft Surface does just as good of a job. I took it around different places, and it does a better job, as a matter of fact. Because of that, I can prop it up like I did this in the bathroom, or just set it on something and let it do it. But as I mentioned, the sound on this iPad Pro is very, very impressive. It allows me to hear in ways that no iPad has done in the past, or an iPhone. It's very, very loud, and when you prop it up, especially like how I had it in there up against the mirror, and you give it a little bit of something behind it, the bass really kicks up, and that's really where it actually outshines the Surface a little bit. However, the Surface does a great job. It has speakers that are on the front. They're kind of hard to see, but they're actually there. The iPad Pro has 4 speakers, 2 on each side, and this is really nice because I used to lay in bed and would cover up the speakers by putting that on my chest or something, and now no matter which way you put it, you always are going to have a way to still hear it. Okay, now we're going to get into some things that really start to set these apart, and I think that Apple did this to themselves when they said this can replace your laptop. Well, a lot of us go, oh, well then that means it has USB 3.0 ports, and I can plug a thumb drive into it, and I can run the latest, I can put Linux on it if I want to, and do all kinds of crazy stuff. Well, I think that Apple's vision of the future is a little different. There are a lot of people, and they may not be all of the ones watching this channel, but there are probably a lot of you who you consume a lot of content. Occasionally you need to make a document, you need to type things, you need to read things, maybe you need to make a few things, but you're not editing videos all the time. You're not loading in 500 photos from a photo shoot and trying to get those back out to a client. You're not using Photoshop and Illustrator. A lot of people, a lot of people think that they use Photoshop and Illustrator, and I have yet to see all the people who really are using Photoshop and Illustrator daily. If that's you, you should obviously know that this iPad Pro is not going to be what you want to use as your daily workhorse for your design company. But a lot of people, this can be your computer. Why? Because it works. It's simple. It comes up. We have the main Microsoft programs from Office. You have Pages, and things just kind of work on it. Now, over here, we have Windows really lurking beneath the Surface. And so when we need to actually do something, you have this, and you can install anything that you want to install. So if you want to run Adobe Illustrator, you can install Adobe Illustrator on the computer, boom and boom. So from that standpoint, the Surface is definitely a much better computer. But if your idea of a computer has morphed a little bit or has changed, this is where the iPad Pro actually beats it. One of the things that I found really frustrating using the Surface as a tablet was I found that when I use a tablet, I just kind of want it to work. And I turned the Microsoft Surface on many times, and it had lots of glitches. There are times when it doesn't just come on, or it takes a while. It can't recognize me. There's no way to do the thumbprint because it doesn't have a thumbprint reader. So it's trying to use the camera Windows Hello to see you, and that doesn't always work. There are also times that it's just glitchy. Windows do weird things, or the scrolling up and scrolling down, like it no longer responds to touch. I had an incident happen where the taskbar took up half the screen, and I couldn't change the size of it until I actually had to go into a menu and move it to the top, and then it resized right, and then I could move it back down. You don't run into these kinds of issues on the iPad Pro. Once again, you're not going to be using a full bore Illustrator on there. So if you only are going to have one computer, then I would say get the Surface. But if you have a computer and the iPad Pro is like what you're going to use a lot of the time or carry with you, then I think that it's a great way to go. Let's talk about battery. And I know this is all out of order, but this is just how we do things here on Man Cave Technology. When it comes to battery power, the Surface got away from me several times. And I mean got away from me as in like, oh, it's a fresh day. Let's use this thing. Let's just surf Facebook. Let's watch YouTube videos. Oh, the fans are going. It's heating up. It's doing things. It's running updates in the background. Weird things are happening. And there were many times that my battery just got eaten up in a way that does not happen on iOS devices because it's a full-blown computer, which is awesome until you need your battery to last all day. And you don't have an easy way to charge it other than finding somewhere to plug this guy in. With this, it just always lasted. I think sometimes I got down to the end of the day and was maybe didn't have 20% power left or something like that, but I never ran out of power. I never had that kind of issue. And that's just the nature of a mobile system versus a full-blown system. A lot of people wanted Apple to put OS X on here, and you could make a device like that, but I don't actually think it would be that much fun. Over here, when you are in this world, and I know that Illustrator has a touch kind of version, but it is actually really hard to use this with touch or even with the pen. You have to kind of finagle some things, and sometimes things work really easy, sometimes they don't. But I oftentimes found myself just not using it and preferring to use the mouse and a keyboard at a desktop. But if this is your only computer, get a Surface Pro because it's going to have all of that stuff and kind of be a tablet. If it's not, or if your computing needs don't actually require Photoshop and Illustrator, I think you could actually fully live with the iPad Pro. Now, glitches, I mentioned some on the Surface. There are some over here. I showed this in another video. Spotify, still not fully working. I need to probably see if they've done an update yet. It made that work. But most applications have some type of mobile version that allows you to do things. And that actually makes life kind of okay over here. As for me, Evernote, some of these core apps that I use, Facebook, TripAdvisor, the Kindle, Netflix, Hulu, Google Drive, Crossy Road, some of our most important business apps. These things are all here, and they all work on there and do a decent job. Over here, you obviously have all of those apps as well, but you don't have them all in a great touch-friendly mode, and so that's kind of the disadvantage to some of that. And one other fairly important thing to remember is that if you are already in the Apple ecosystem, then this is going to have on the iPad Pro things that you already use like iMessage and FaceTime and some of those things that are already part of your ecosystem. And for me, it came down to if I was laying on the couch and found a video and wanted to show everyone, I just wanted to AirPlay it, and I couldn't do that with the Surface. Or if I wanted to simply receive a message and not type it back on my phone, use the iPad. And so, once again, another reason that for me, I really like that. So what did I choose? Well, there's the Surface, there's the iPad Pro. The iPad Pro a little bigger. Some of you are going to boo at this point, but I have chosen the iPad Pro with my MacBook, which is actually pretty amazingly thin and a lot thinner than the first laptop that I ever owned to have both of those items. Now, if you only are going to have one computer that you have access to and you need to do stuff like Photoshop and you need to plug in USB things and do all that and printers and you're still using floppy disk, then get the Surface Pro 4 because you can do all that and you literally can use floppy disk with it. Like I plugged in my floppy disk drive and I have a zip drive and a lot of things that you use to find old stuff. If you are like, man, everything I do is on the cloud. I want something low maintenance. I, am fine like not doing all that stuff, and that's kind of, I just want something that works. I think you're going to be happy with the iPad Pro. For me, I have a little bit of combination of both, which is why I'm keeping both in my bag. And I have the advantage of using all of the stuff here when I need to edit that video or do that big thing. But I've actually edited videos on this. And for the price of a Surface, if you really deck out a Surface, you can get pretty pricey. You could actually own these two items as well and carry those in your bag. So that's the decision I made. Very interested to know what you're thinking. Like I said, There's a lot of better videos out there that are actually going to go through the technical details and all of that. I didn't do that because I just wanted to give you my first-hand account of living with both of them, what I decided, and you make the decision. That's why we're not going to actually go through putting the things in there. You're going to have to weigh this yourself and decide which of these things mean what to you and why you like them and why you decide to do what you do. But I'm really eager to know. So leave some comments. Let me know what you're thinking. I'll chit-chat down in there because I want to know kind of what people are doing, and I'm very interested. I am continuing, I guess, my allegiance to Apple this time round by staying here. I almost went with the Surface, but I'm going to stay using Apple only. Some of you are going to go with the Surface, and I want to hear how it goes. So, hope you have a great time. Thanks for watching this video. We got a lot of fun videos and stuff coming up, but I'll see you in the comments. Please subscribe if you want more. Thanks.